Welcome to the Healing Insight Podcast, Episode 1, with me, Sarah Hunt.
And me, Jez Hunt.
And before you make any assumptions, we are not married. We are brother and sister.
Yes, thankfully.
Thanks, bro.
That's all right.
And today we thought we'd just give you a little insight into our journey and how it is that we've ended up working together on this podcast.
Indeed. And it's quite a fascinating journey. And I hope that you'll share and enjoy that side of it as well as the information around healing and insights around healing that we're going to be sharing with you.
Yes, I'm really excited about this. It's something I've wanted to do for a little while, and I'm sure that there's lots of interesting information that we'll be able to bring to you that will give you some insight and will resonate with you and help you to find a way forward on your own healing journey.
Indeed. And we've all been, well, we've all been, you and I have certainly been on our own healing journey. So I think, as we discussed when we were putting this idea of the podcast together, was that this first episode would be a little bit about us and our backgrounds and how we've got to the position we are and why we want to take this podcast forwards to help people. So I think it'd be useful just to start off with a little bit of background. So do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can. I'm the eldest of four, and I have three lovely brothers. And Jeremy is the middle of the three brothers, but Jeremy and I, we had, as children, were got on pretty well. Certainly in our 20s, we were quite close. We went through a period where we didn't get on so well. And we managed to sort that out as we moved forward and come back together and now find ourselves working together in different ways. Jeremy is my technical expert. He does all the work on my website for me and has a very important role with that, as well as now helping me with these podcasts.
Okay. I thought we were going more into the healing side of it, but that's okay. We can come back to that.
We will in a minute.
That's okay. So, yep, I'm, and just for clarification, guys, I'm Jez Hunt. That's how I'm known by everyone except family. So Sarah referred to me either as Jay or Jeremy. Well, Jeremy's my name. I don't have a problem with any of it. It's just naturally I get called Jez, but Sarah has a problem with just doesn't sound right or feel right to her. So if you hear her referring to Jeremy or Jay, that is me. So don't get too confused about that one. Yeah, we've got on pretty well over the years. It's just that, as Sarah said, there was a period of time where we didn't quite see eye to eye. But that's actually all part of the journey. And if we hadn't have gone through that phase, then I wouldn't be in the position I am now. I wouldn't have started the journey of self-discovery, I suppose, in terms of what I believed and what I actually wanted from life and how I viewed life. And that journey wouldn't have started necessarily in the same way that it did had we seen eye to eye and been sort of happy families. But I also think that, from a coaching perspective and from dealing with clients, it's natural to have disagreements with anyone, let alone whether it's family. And in some ways, close family is actually worse because you're kind of, what's the saying? You can choose your friends, but not your relatives. Because there's an obligation there. There's a feeling of obligation there because they're your family that you have to get on and do well with them. So it's actually quite normal for people not to get on all of the time because we have different opinions. We have different views of the world, and that's okay. So
yes, absolutely. And that comes back to our journeys, and each of us is on a unique journey that has spanned over many, many, many lifetimes. And
just for the listeners, that's Charlie just joining in. Charlie's the Jack Russell. You might find him in the background in some podcasts. He's actually mostly okay, but
He
he's
was fighting off the postman. Oh
well.
dear, thank you, Charlie, for
As you can see,
protecting me.
this is genuinely being recorded live in the moment. So
Oh dear, now I've forgotten where I was. Yes, I was talking about everybody's journey being a unique journey that has spanned over many thousands of lifetimes. And my journey started, my journey of self-discovery really started after a car accident that I had back in 2003. And at the time, I was working as a medical sales rep. I am a trained nurse. I worked for many years in nursing. And I was out on the road and had a car accident on the motorway. I had damage to my neck, a whiplash, and soft tissue damage to my back as well. And I was told by the medical profession that I would always have pain, I'd always have discomfort, and that as I got older, the problems would get worse. And at the time, I thought there's got to be a different way. And it was very interesting because the universe was obviously working to wake me up and to show me alternatives, because I went into one of the hospitals that I visited regularly, and after I'd come back from sick leave, and was talking to one of the nurses about what happened, and she said to me, "Have you heard of Reiki?" She said, "I've been working with Reiki and it's really helped me. Why don't you look into it?" And I was like, "What's Reiki?" I did a bit of investigation, and then had a leaflet come through the door which told me about somebody local who was doing Reiki. So that started my journey with energy healing. And I worked with Reiki for many years. It helped a lot with my symptoms. And then in 2012, I started channeling new information about healing. And I didn't really understand it at the time. It was a huge amount of information. It wasn't clear to me. So I needed to step back for a short time from all the information and do some additional work on myself. And then after that, in 2015, I picked up again with this information. It felt like the timing was right for it. And that was the beginning of Cosmic Heart. And I have had an amazing journey with Cosmic Heart, which has taught me a huge amount about healing. It's taught me about the importance of getting to the root cause of the problem. And by working with Cosmic Heart, it has helped me to improve relationships around me as well, and to heal the situations that have created those difficulties. I've used other methods of alternative healing as well, such as acupuncture to help me, reflexology. So, and the combination of those has helped to get me to where I am now.
excellent. Yeah, and there's a big variety of things, and that's really part of my journey as well, is the variety of things that I've tried or that have worked for me. Sometimes some things only working in the moment. So for example, my first introduction to, this is actually going back before I was caring for mum and dad, which I'll come on to, but I had acupuncture. Why did I have acupuncture? Oh yeah, migraines. I had migraines from the age of 14, pretty much all the way through my life up until, oh, now it must be 12 years ago, 12 years ago. And I had 3 months of acupuncture, and I tried everything. We'd had allergy tests and all the rest of it to see with the doctors and everything, and nothing was working, and the tablets weren't even working. And someone suggested acupuncture. One of the network meetings I was doing at the time had an acupuncturist, so I just thought, oh, what the hell, I'll try anything. And it was 3 months of acupuncture that actually stopped my migraines, and 12 years on, I've never had one since. Now, what I've come to understand that is it wasn't about it was more about the stress and the issues that were going on, the energy side of it, which we're going to be covering a lot, I think, over the coming weeks. That was actually the issue, and it was the migraine was the symptom. It was what was being manifested in the body, which again, we'll come on to these sorts of things as we go through. So I had had exposure to homeopathy and acupuncture fairly early on, as I say, good 12, 13, 14 years ago. What really, in terms of me questioning my life and questioning where I was going, was the period of time where I split from my son's mum and went to care for mum and dad, if you remember. And funnily enough, I've just taken note of dates because that was back in 2012.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, well,
Mm.
there's another interesting one as well because 2015 was key as well. So 2012 when I started caring for mum and dad, and I gave up my business and everything at that time to care for them, and it was just the combination of the stress of caring for mum and dad, and I love them to bits, but caring for two people is actually hard work, and the giving up of the job, the pressures of that, the failed relationship because it was, and how I felt about that relationship at that time. All of this stuff just built up to the point where I just, had a bit of a breakdown, really. And it was only the mum and dad and their needs that kept me going. And it was then, I don't know if you remember, Sarah, but it was then that we did talk, and because we hadn't been talking up to that point, and we
No,
started to
that's right.
talk because we had a common goal here of helping mum and dad. And it was you suggesting meditation, which again I had been exposed to before, and I'd done meditation before. I had experienced meditation before, and it was you suggesting meditation might help calm me and keep me a bit stress free, and that's how it all started.
Mhm.
So it was the starting of us talking together again. You suggesting I did meditation, and you were running meditation courses at that time, classes at that time as well. So I came along and learnt meditation with you. I've gone on. Since then I've used meditation every day, and I still use it now, and will continue to do so. But it was that then led to me then moving on to actually having some healing with you, and then starting learning healing and coming to the healing circles as they were then healing shares, and all those sorts of things. So that was the start back in 2012, 2013 of me really starting to question what is life about? What is the point of all of this? If I look at mum and dad, dad working all his life as he did to end up ill in the way that he was and the way that he was with things. And it's like, well, if that's all that we've got ahead of us, what is the point? If we're going to spend our lives, struggling just to move, or struggling just to make sense of things, or struggling just to get up and have a day, then what is the point? And that then led to me reading what was first, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, and that was life changing for me. The whole stay in the moment, be in the moment as much as possible, because that is the only thing we can actually influence. We can't influence the past. We can't influence the future. Well, we can influence the future because we
We
can make
can.
decisions, but we can't. But worrying about what might happen in the future is pointless until you get to that point. So yeah, being okay. We'll come on to the future one in a future episode. I think the little link there, because I don't want to get too bogged down in that, because this is just about the journey. So that then led me to energy healing. Then I went on to understanding. So I got interested in psychology, and so I was looking at people like Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, people like that were around. Well, them as well, but other people as well around there, and started getting interested in this whole mindset thing, and how our mindset affects what happens to us, because it affects the choices we make, which dictates what then happens. So it was my understanding of that which then led me to look at, ultimately, I got into NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and I'm qualified as a master practitioner in NLP, timeline therapy and hypnosis. I done energy healing, as we said, tapping, so emotional freedom technique, um, inner child work, so doing timeline therapies and regressions to childhood, not past life necessarily, but just looking at the whole thing rather than just what seems to be presenting in front of me. And that was kind of my route to where I am now. And now I'm full-time coaching, coaching people on life and on business. So particularly focused on I've focused a lot on beliefs, and limiting beliefs, and where people are, what they believe, their map of the world, how they view the world. And we shake that up and we change it, because it is only a story, and we can actually do a lot with that. So that's kind of brings me up to date of from 2012 to today, of where I am and why I'm doing this and why I'm here with you on this podcast today. So
Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting what you were saying about mindset, Jay. And I'd just like to add to that, because mindset is very important, and having a positive mindset is important. However, I'm very much, my opinion is very much about being in the heart. And when you're heart centered and heart led, then that will keep you in that positive mindset. What we need to be careful of is that we aren't too much in the head, because we need to be heart centered with everything that we're doing and everything that we're saying. And that was an understanding that I came to on my journey. I've only mentioned a few things that I've been involved with, but as Jeremy said, I did teach meditation at one time. I did readings as well for people. I was a qualified advanced past life regressionist as well. And it was as I went through this journey with Cosmic Heart that it became apparent that my focus needed to be purely on healing and about helping people to understand the importance of love, and the importance of being heart-centered and heart-led with everything that we do. And I think one of the things that I've come to understand that's really important is that we have ended up in a world where we have been 80% in the head and 20% in the heart. And it's meant to be the other way around. And that's what we're moving to at the moment. And that's what I find so exciting, as I'm working with people with energy healing and getting to the root cause of the problem for them. And I just want to touch on what you were saying about being able to influence the past, the present, and the future. And being in the now is key. It really is. And the past, you can't change the past in the physical, but with energy healing or with other types of healing, you can clear that energy out of the way so it no longer influences your present and your future. And we will do a podcast on creating the life that you want and creating your future. But what is happening in the now will help to manifest what's in the future. So healing the issues that have come from the past will then allow you to create the future that you really want. And this is what is so important as we move forward in the coming months and years. So I think it's a really exciting time that we're in at the moment, and everybody has their own personal, unique journey that has led them to where they are now. And the experiences that we have had have all been about creating the situation that we're in now, and being able to let go of some of that old stuff will allow us to step into our own power. And by that I mean it's about being our true selves. It's about being our authentic selves, and this is what any healing journey is really about. Once you start to really discover more about yourself, you find that you're able to be your true self and feel empowered to create what you want in your life.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I was actually holding back in what I was saying because mindset is how people see it, and I absolutely agree with you 100%. It's heart set. That's what we should be talking about.
Yes.
But that's how people see it. That's how it's portrayed within the industry. Within like we talk about mindset, but actually, if you're connected to your heart, if you're heart centered and you're connected to your intuition, then the stuff that comes into your mind, your mindset, is changed because of the way you view things anyway. So it absolutely is around that. There are things that we can do, and absolutely the past. There are lessons to be learnt from the past, and there are things that we can take away. There are learnings from that, and as you rightly say, it's about releasing and letting go of the trapped energy of the events of the past that allow us to be free energetically to then move forwards into the future with more certainty, with more intention, and with more what's the word I'm looking for? With more surety about what's going to happen and where we want to take our life and what's going to happen for us and where we're going.
Absolutely. And I would say as well, it's also more clarity that you
Mm,
have. I think, sometimes people, and I've been there myself, where I've been really confused. What am I supposed to be doing? Where am I going? What is this all about? As you mentioned earlier, when you mentioned about mum and dad, and it was kind of, what is this all about? Why are we here? There must be something more to this. And that certainly has been a question that I've asked on my journey as well, and needed to have that greater understanding of what this is about without getting caught up in any dogma or anything, but really understanding how important it is to connect with ourselves,
yeah.
and to start to understand who we really are, and from that, then it's a lot easier to have the clarity of what it is you actually really want to achieve, and what it is you're here to achieve as well. Because I do feel that everyone that is on the planet at the moment has a purpose, and in fact we have many purposes. Part of my purpose has been to be a sister, a daughter, a mother, a grandmother, and as well as a nurse, a salesperson, a healer. But my greatest purpose is to spread the knowledge that I have about healing and about love, and the importance of love, and the importance of the heart.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think this is going to be an exciting series, an exciting podcast for sure. And I'm looking forward to getting more in depth in some of the topics that we've generally discussed, sort of when we were looking at setting this up. And it's my hope that as well that the listeners will actually get some insight from this. I mean, the Healing Insight podcast, the clue's in the name. We want people to get insight from this, that will help them in their journey, whatever that is for them. And I think the one thing I'd like to say, just sort of finishing up from my point of view today, is there is no right or wrong with this. I mean, your journey is your journey, and it's there for you to learn from. And sometimes we can get head up in, I made the wrong decision. But actually there is no such thing as a wrong decision. You make a choice and the outcome will be the outcome that comes from that choice. It's neither right nor wrong. It just is. And I think once people grasp that concept and actually take on board that it's just, if it's wrong, the outcome isn't as you expected it to be, is basically what that means to me. So once you actually realize that and you stop blaming yourself for making a wrong decision, then a lot changes. And yes, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the background, in the backlog of energy work, and dealing with some of the negative traumas and emotions that came up because of those decisions. But actually, it's okay. Life is as it's meant to be. It's all good. And, if you listen to this and disagreeing with me, that's fine. because we all have our own opinions. We all have our own map of the world. And 15 years ago, not even that long ago, I didn't believe what I believe now. And it's my journey that's taken me to here that has changed my view of where I am. And I'm okay with that. It's all good.
Yes, I would agree with you. You know, one of the things that I was taught when I first did Reiki was that everything is neither good nor bad, it simply is. And I like to add now with my students that I teach, it simply is a learning experience. Because whatever the outcome of any decision that we make or any experience that we have, there's always something to learn from it, to learn about ourselves, to learn about others. And our journey as human beings is we are spiritual beings, and this is my belief. That has come from all my years now of self-discovery. But we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And, you know, we're here to learn. We're here to learn about ourselves. We're here to learn about others. We're here to learn about the world and how to make it a better place. So I'm really excited about this series of podcasts that we're starting to do, and we will go into some of these topics, as Jay says, in a lot more detail for you in future episodes. Today was really about giving you a bit of background about us, and hopefully has given you a little bit of insight into us and what we do. If you are struggling with anything at the moment, or if anything that's we've mentioned has resonated with you and you'd like some help, then do please book an appointment with me. We will make sure that the details are dropped into the show notes of my website and how to make an appointment. Looking forward to chatting again and bringing you further insights relating to healing in the not too distant future.
No, that's great. And just something else to add, if you just have any questions or you'd like to find out more or anything like that, we will also make sure there's an email that you can use in the chat as well. In the chat. See, it's too many Zoom calls I'm on. In the show notes. So that you can get in touch and just to find out a bit more, or if you've got anything that you'd like us to perhaps cover in a future topic or something like that. So but communication's open, you know, come and have a chat with us by email and we'll be back in touch. So that's it then.
Thank you very much. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. Goodbye.